So if y'all would bear with me for a couple of brief moments while I do some technology things, and hopefully everybody can see this. So somebody give me a wave in the little side view. Very good. Okay, excellent. Well, actually, I'm gonna scoot that back. Uh, First of all, my thanks to Sharon and Karen and the Chamber for allowing me to come on and visit for a few minutes. We should be finished completely by about 12:30, quarter to one, something. I'm just kidding. Okay. Yes, I do have a warped sense of humor. Here's a little bit about Steve. Undergraduate degree in psychology in '78. I've been doing DISC personality training since the early '90s. I'm a certified life coach, certified marriage and pre-marriage coach. Again, I've been coaching since the early '90s, and it started with helping people to understand their personality temperament, but also the temperaments of the people that they engage with, whether it's a spouse, children, coworkers, bosses, subordinates, whatever the case is. And about a year ago, I was actually invited to become a Ziglar Choose to Win coach. My relationship with the whole Ziglar organization goes back to the early '80s. I first heard Mr. Ziglar back in 1981 in Nashville, Tennessee, and fell in love with his message, what he was sharing, and he was a great motivator. He has done some amazing things for a lot of people. Then about 5 years ago, I had the pleasure of meeting and becoming friends with the proud son, Tom, and his sisters, Julie and Cindy, and got a great relationship with all of them. So along the way, I was asked when Tom was introducing his coaching program, Choose to Win, I was one of the first people who was asked to be one of the trained coaches, licensed trained coaches in the Choose to Win system. So enough about me, and now let's talk about what we are dealing with. But first, I want to do a little bit of a recasting of history, or rerun back to history. I lived in the Houston area during the 1980s, and in the mid-'80s, we dealt with three major crises. Number one was the savings and loan crisis. The savings and loan industry literally collapsed. And as a result of that, it shot the interest rates, the mortgage rates, up to over 20%. Now, for those people that are tuning in now or later, if you're in the mortgage business or in the real estate business in some way, how would you like to try and sell a house when the mortgage rate is 21%? It ain't going to happen. And that's exactly what happened. But during that same time period, in '86, I believe it was, the space shuttle exploded right in front of us. And I was actually about 10 minutes away from Johnson Space Center when that happened. And I was sitting in a restaurant, and I'm watching all of these things take place on the video monitors that they had in the restaurant. That took out almost 20% of the Houston economy, what was remaining. And then we had oil issues that were going on. So the economy in Houston collapsed back in the mid-'80s. Then we had 2000, 2001, 2002. In 2000, we're recovering from Y2K. 2001, we had the terrorist attacks. In 2003, major corporations collapsed. During that 3-year period, we had between a 40 and a 50% collapse or loss in people's market value. That was another time of crises that we all had to deal with. Then in 2008, well, remember that? That wasn't that long ago, but we had another stock market crash. The money supply disappeared. The housing market collapsed. I was selling home improvements at the time, and I had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of projects that were sitting on my desk that could not be processed because I couldn't get the financing for my clients. So you can see we've all gone through crises. That's just in the past 30 years that we've had these types of things. Why do I tell you that? Well, plain and simple. Today, we're dealing with a global pandemic. Now, things are starting to loosen up, but we're still dealing with it. Businesses are closing. I hate turning on the news these days because it talks about all of the businesses that are closing. Unemployment is skyrocketing. I saw on Friday that the unemployment rate now, they've had 36 million new unemployment claims in the past 2 months. So obviously, we are dealing with another crisis of some sort. Why is this important? Well, this picture here is a pendulum. And what's the one thing with the pendulum that happens all the time? It goes back and forth. It has high sides, it has low sides. It swings back and forth. The key is that we are all in a season at this particular point in time. We have to remember this is only a season. We will get through all of this stuff. Several years ago, somebody shared this quote with me: "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape." And I fondly refer this to the beatitude that Matthew didn't put in his gospel. You know, blessed are the weak, blessed are the poor, etc. So this is blessed are the flexible. Now, why is that important? Because we all have to be flexible today, because we don't know what today's going to hold. We don't know what tomorrow's going to hold, next week, next month, next year. One of my favorite characters when I was growing up, and I looked this up this morning, this is Gumby. Everybody knows about Gumby. Gumby was actually created 3 years before I was born, back in 1953. And he had a TV series that was going on, and he had his sidekick Pokey, and they had the adventures of Gumby and Pokey. Well, why do I share Gumby with you? Because he was flexible. So I want to tell people, be flexible in everything that's going on. You know, we are living in a new reality. Back at the turn of the 1900s, 19th century, we all dealt with, I say we, I wasn't there. In fact, I don't think anybody in the call was there, but everybody had a horse and buggy. That's how we got around. That was our mode of transportation. So everybody, of course, had a buggy whip. But then the automotive industry, that dastardly Henry Ford had to go and start doing things on an assembly line. And he absolutely destroyed, single-handedly destroyed the buggy whip industry. But what happened? We got a new reality. A new paradigm was now invented. Now, not just the buggies, but look at all of the other parts, the components that go into making an automobile today. All of the computers, the tires, the steering wheels, the engines, I mean, all of those things. So where we had just one or two industries, the buggy industry, the horse industry, and the buggy whip industry, now we've got hundreds, if not thousands of industries. So this is a new paradigm. No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. If we turn the clock back 3 months, there was one set of rules that we lived within. And as the virus hit and expanded and we were all forced to work from home, all of a sudden we've got a new level of consciousness that we now have to change our level of consciousness to something different in order to move forward and get out of where we've been. So it's a new level of consciousness that we have to adapt and adopt in our daily lives. So I want to start off early on by giving you some hope. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about the word hope, H-O-P-E. And I turned that into acrostic. And when you look at it, the letter H stands for help others. How many of us, as we are going through the crisis, are focusing entirely on ourselves? Stop it. Start focusing on other people. Your issues, your challenges, we all have them. But start focusing on how we can help somebody else along the way. And I'll give you a great case in point. I've got some really good friends that are involved in the life group that my wife and I lead with related to Cottonwood Creek. And this couple is in their mid-70s, and they've got some health challenges, so the doctors have told them to stay inside in their apartment. Well, they live in an apartment in a senior community that's gated. Well, it makes it difficult for them to go to the grocery store. So what they've done, their daughter lives in the area. She has a key, a remote control to open the gate. So she does their grocery shopping. She takes all of the groceries to their house. She goes through the gate. He comes out to the balcony of his apartment, opens the trunk in his car. She loads all the things in the trunk of his car, closes the trunk. He says goodbye. She says goodbye. She walks out. And then a few minutes later, he goes down and gets all the groceries, sanitizes everything. Okay. Now, why do I tell you that? Because she is helping her mom and dad. It's a new reality for her. So she has taken upon herself to help other people. Now, how many other people can you help? Is there church things that you can do? Are there things with the food pantries where you can help out? Is there somebody in your neighborhood that can't get out to cut their grass and you can cut their grass for them? So think about that. Now, what does that do? Number one, that helps them, but number two, it takes the focus off of yourself and your own challenges and problems that you're dealing with. Number two is open doors of opportunity. Real quickly, we're all facing new opportunities in front of us every single day. And last summer, now, again, I've been coaching since the early 90s, and all my coaching has either been by phone or it's been face-to-face up until last summer. Somebody asked me if I could coach somebody in Colorado. And I said, yeah, sure. We just do things over Skype. So I decided that I was going to start morphing my business into doing more and more online coaching. And at the beginning of the year, I started laying out a plan. I'm going to be ready to go. I'm going to learn the technology. I'm going to have all the equipment that's necessary. And I'm going to move my business more to an online platform. But I'm not going to really pull the trigger until June or July, because that's when I know I'll be ready. Well, guess what? 1st of March, I went online. And that's where I've been coaching ever since. And so I saw an opportunity ahead of time, thankfully, and I was starting to prepare for it. Most of America was not prepared for this new online reality that we are dealing with. So my suggestion is, if there's an opportunity, push the door open. That's what you have to do. If you stay stagnant where you've been, then you're not going to grow. You're not going to continue to expand your business. So O is for open the doors of opportunity. The P is for prayerfully pursue. Now, some that are in this audience, maybe prayer is not something that you do. That's okay. You can still make that P for the letter pursue, because you have to go after those dreams and goals. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But a lot of people will say, well, I've tried everything else, so I might as well pray about it. Well, maybe you should think differently. Maybe you should start by praying about it and then pursue. So P is for prayerfully pursue. And that the E is for enthusiastically move on with no excuses. We all know that money is tight right now. We all know that we've been sequestered in our homes and the doors are finally starting to open up. We all know that, so don't rest in the excuses. Be enthusiastic about, guess what? The doors are open 25%. Yay! I can now go to a restaurant. I can go and sit. Maybe they've got an outside place. Maybe they've got some place inside where they've roped off only certain booths or tables where you can sit. Be enthusiastic about the things that you can do. Don't fret over the things that you can't do. So look forward enthusiastically to what's ahead. Now, I paint this picture, I put this picture up about a foundation. If you don't have the proper foundation for moving forward, then you may have some challenges. Now, obviously, if this was going to be a 17-story building, this is not a good foundation. You've got to have something that's the proper foundation. If, on the other hand, it was for a 10 by 20 she shed, it's a little bit of an overkill on foundation. But you have to have the right foundation in order to move forward. Oh, I love this. I saw this the other day. How many of you saw this? Let's see if I can get the video to work here. Well, there we go. That was taken from the front yard at my house here in McKinney, right over the border from Allen. Proper preparation breeds confidence. Now, think about this. How many of those pilots in the Blue Angels got up that morning, that Wednesday morning, and says, you know what? I've never flown a plane before. I think I may just jump in one of those Blue Angel jets and take off. No. They've been practicing for years. Proper preparation breeds confidence. Have you ever seen an interview with one of those pilots, Blue Angels pilot, a Thunderbirds pilot, whatever, any of those precision pilots that wasn't over the top with confidence and sometimes borderline being a little on the arrogant side? Of course we have, because of proper preparation. And it helps the birds fly in formation. I got a little side note for you. How many of you, show of hands, whatever hands I can see, have ever seen geese flying, either north or south? Okay, now I see a few hands going up. And have you ever noticed that the geese always fly in a V formation? They always do. And I've always wondered why it is one of those legs in that V formation was longer than the other one. Well, I figured out why. There are more geese in the one leg than there are in the other. You'll get that later on. So anyway, I move on. Here we go again. Okay, here's the critical component of what you're doing. You have to stay in balance. That pendulum swung in a negative direction for a lot of people. It's starting to swing back, but you have to stay in balance. If because we've been sequestered at home and we've been surrounded with our families all the time, 24/7, and you start going out, don't go in the opposite direction where you're spending 18 hours a day away from the family. You've got to maintain balance in everything you're doing. Many years ago, Mr. Ziglar came out with the Wheel of Life. And I want you to at least take a mental picture of this Wheel of Life. I'm going to touch on this. You can create your own, or I can send you an email that has the Wheel of Life attached to it. But if you look at there's a chart that's on here. It's a scale for each of these 7 legs. Physical, family, mental, financial, you can see it right there. But it's a scale from 1 to 10. Rank yourself where you see yourself on this scale from 1 to 10. A 1 is somebody that maybe they have some major health issues and they're closing in on their final days. A 10, on the other hand, is somebody like Aaron Pearson that I guess he runs about 35 miles a day or whatever it is, something like that. He's in pretty good shape. So he would probably be a 10. Well, rank yourself and put a little dot beside where you are on that chart. And then do the same thing with your family, with mental, financial. Then connect the dots on that Wheel of Life, and that's going to give you a great snapshot for where you are today. Now, here's the problem. If you're a 10 in the physical side, but family is only a 4, you got a problem. If mental is a 6, you're okay. You're getting back closer to the higher number. But what if your financial side of things, because of all of the shutdown, your financial is a 3? Well, we got some issues there as well. So connect the dots, and that's going to see the areas where you really need to work. But the key is we want to get all of this so that we are balanced in all 7 areas on the Wheel of Life. Let's look at it this way. If you looked at a tree has a good, healthy tree, has a good, solid root structure. But you notice that all of the roots in this tree are intertwined. They're all connected. Whoops, we went ahead one. They're all intertwined. They're connected. What that means is if you're having some challenges at home with the family, that is going to impact your physical, your career, your spiritual. It's going to connect everything together. So you have to make sure that we work on all of these things simultaneously, not just in one area at a time. And good habits nourish your roots. As I'm coaching somebody, one of the things that I do all the time is we talk about the types of habits that we have and what the good habits are and the bad habits. Tom Ziglar, proud son of Zig Ziglar, was asked several years ago at a convention where he was speaking, what's the fastest way to success? And his response was to replace bad habits with good habits. Now, let me give you a real quick illustration of what that means. If I drank 1 bottle of Coke, regular full-strength Coca-Cola every day, do you realize that I would be consuming as much as 10 pounds of sugar every single year? What if I replaced that one bad habit with a good habit, and I drink water instead? Not only am I not consuming that 10 pounds of sugar, but I'm likely to lose some weight in the process instead of gaining some weight. So think about the little habits that you can replace today and replace them with the good habits. Those are the key things. When you look at this hot air balloon, let's imagine for a moment, this is our dream vehicle. This is what's going to take us to our dreams and our goals. And that basket where all the people are, those are our dreams, our desires. Those are the things that we are going after. But you notice there's something that's hanging down from this basket, and it's tether lines. And what's the purpose of tether lines? To hold you back. Well, guess what? 2 months ago, those tether lines were pulled in really tight on all of America, all of the world in many, many cases. And as a result, we were all being held back. We had to change the way we're doing business, if we could do business at all. But now those tether lines are starting to be loosened and we can start to soar again. When you look at the hope, that's your commitment. I don't care what the tether lines are, I'm going to stay committed to the things that I want to achieve. That's my hope. That's what keeps me going on a daily basis. And then you look at the grit. That's the action that you must take. And if you're not going to take the action, then is it really a sincere dream and desire? And are you really committed to achieving those things? Never give up on what you want to do. The person with the big dreams is more powerful than the one with all the facts. So you can study everything you need to do, but if you're not going to take action, nothing's going to happen. You have to have the big dreams. Now, I'll give you case in point back to my story. I was thinking through all the things that I needed to do, and I was going to pull the trigger and go online in June or July. I'm a thinker, and I'm a planner. And then eventually, when I know all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, then finally I pull the trigger and I'm a doer. But the problem was I was thinking too much. And the 1st of March, I had to become a doer in the process of things. Many of you remember this cute little children's story. I remember this when I was growing up. And the little engine that could. And if you don't remember it, here's the real quick synopsis. Little engine breaks down. The engine is filled with toys and food for the girls and boys on the other side of the mountain. And he's got to get over that mountain, but he can't because he's broken down. He asks all the other engines in the area, can you help me? And nobody could help him. Nobody was willing to help him. Finally, this one little engine that all he did was he moved train cars and engines from one place to another in the train yard. And that broken down engine says, can you help me? And that little engine said, well, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. The whole way up the side of that mountain, he's saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. When he got to the top of the hill and started going down, he says, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could. I want you to change your mindset. I want you to tell yourself, I know I can, I know I can, I know I can. No matter what the adversity is, I know I can overcome this. So when you're going down the other side and you're closing in on that dream or that goal, you can say to yourself, I knew I could, I knew I could, I knew I could. Don't quit. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. Guess what? We've got new opportunities all around us. We just have to open our eyes to what those opportunities are. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do. Not what you think about, it's what you do. You've got to take action. Speaking of action, some of you have heard me say this recently. There are 5 bullfrogs sitting on lily pads. 3 of them decide that they are going to jump off of the lily pads. How many frogs are left on the lily pads? Well, a lot of people would say, well, 2 of them are left on. No, it's all 5 because they decided to, but they never took action. They're still there. They just didn't jump off. So you have to jump off. You have to take action to get to the next level. You see, change starts with you, but it doesn't start until you start. Another great quote from my friend Tom. So what is your why? This is the foundation of how you move forward in everything in your life. Why are you in business? Do you even know why you're in business other than you're going to make a paycheck? What is your purpose? Are you just selling a widget, or is there something bigger that's involved in things? What drives you to open the doors? Is it something big? Is it something small? Is it because your desire is to have payroll for all of your employees once again? That's a great and noble cause, but what if it's to give to another organization? What if it's to give to people that are truly in greater need than yourself? Do you have a mission statement? Do you have a vision statement? Now is a great time as we're getting ready to open the doors completely to make sure those things are in place. Living a life of purpose on purpose is a choice. All of these things I just shared, they're all a choice. You have to make the right choices in the things that you're doing. Is this an opportunity for you to remake your business? Have you felt like you are in chains? Maybe you've been doing business the same way for 10, 20, 30 years. And maybe your business is really in chains and you're feeling kind of old and rusty. You were feeling that way before the shutdown. Maybe you get at that wire brush and the cleaners and you polish up the chains, and now at least you look sparkly and shiny. But the problem is you're still in the same business mindset. Is it time to break those chains so that you can truly move forward to the next phase in your business and in your life? So is it time for you to break the chains? Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly until you learn to do it well. I learned that from Mr. Ziegler years ago. Every time I embark on a new adventure, there's a learning curve. I have to start something new. I got to brag on my wife for a brief moment. She was looking at some different opportunities. Unfortunately, she's one of those that got caught in this whole sequestration thing and layoffs and so forth. And she decided she wasn't just going to sit back. She's learning new skills. But she also found a great makeup and skincare line, and she is launching her new makeup and skincare business. She made the announcement last night. I wish I had a slide that I could show exactly what she's doing. But if you want more information, send me a private message, and I'll get you two connected, or everybody connected. But the point to that is anything worth doing is worth doing poorly until you learn to do it well. A baby doesn't immediately start to run a marathon. A baby has to learn to crawl first and then to walk. As they wobble and they fall down, they get back up and they fall again, they get back up again. Then they start to walk faster, and then they start to run, and then hopefully they start to run those marathons. So you have to be ready and willing to make those changes, even though you may look foolish, you may look silly, you may think poorly of yourself because you failed. You didn't fail, you just learned something else that didn't work. Your proper mindset is so critical in everything that we are dealing with. We live in a world of abundance, not a world of scarcity. You can still today, you can drive down 121 or 75 and you can see those construction cranes that are still going up all over the place. The construction industry has been stifled a little bit, but it's going to come back just as everything else is. We live in a world of abundance. Tomorrow's another day. Do not live in fears. Don't let the fears control everything that you're doing. I heard Mr. Ziegler say years ago, the acronym for fear, the acrostic, is false evidence appearing real. If you think that this is a permanent set of circumstances for us, that's false evidence. We are going to get through every bit of this. Open one door, or a closed door determines another open door that you can go through. Back to the buggy whip illustration. That industry went away, but those people learned new skills, new trades, new talents. The same thing with my wife. She's learning all kinds of new things that are going to make her better as she moves forward. Continue to learn new skill, new technology, new tools. Ask for help. This is one of the biggest challenges that I think a lot of us in America have, is we're afraid to ask people for help. I need guidance. I need some recommendations on something. Surround yourself with the right advisors. Don't surround yourself with the naysayers. We're going to get through this. Surround yourself with people that know you are going to get through this. You're not alone. And here's the biggest one on this whole list. Be grateful. And if you need some help understanding gratitude, reach out to Lolo Roberts. She is a master at teaching people about gratitude. And if you're not grateful for everything that is going on around you, then you need to change your mindset. Look above you. Do you have a roof that's over your head? Do you have air conditioning? Do you have heating? Do you have a vehicle? Can you put gas in the car? Gas is cheaper these days, so it's less expensive. So be grateful for all of those little things. Are you healthy? Be grateful for everything. If you need some help with that, reach out. Don't be stuck in your own challenges. What you feed your mind determines your appetite. And these are some fundamental principles that we all have to live by. Read good quality books. Don't spend your time reading all of the negative junk online. What are you listening to? Are you listening to good quality things, or are you focused on the negative things? And, you know, I commend Mark Friedman for his podcast. He's always talking about positive things that are going on in the Allen Fairview McKinney, Plano communities, and it's always positive, uplifting things that we can focus on. But look at things, other podcasts that are out there. Mr. Ziegler's got a great podcast. 40 million people have done downloads from that podcast so far. Watch the TV shows that you're watching, or be careful of those TV shows. Be careful with the people that you are hanging around. You don't want to be hanging around people that the sky is falling all the time, the Chicken Littles of the world. You want to keep focused on the things that are positive, the things that are going to keep you moving forward. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. With all the changes that we've dealt with over the centuries, we've always come back. Things have changed, industries have changed, new technologies, new skills, etc. But we're always given opportunities to move forward. And that's what I want you to keep in mind with all of this. Remember, there is hope in everything we're doing. Help others, open doors of opportunity, prayerfully pursue, and do things with enthusiasm, and get rid of the excuses, because we are all in this together. We're going to move through this, and we're going to be better off because of all of this stuff being behind us. That's what I've got. Here is my contact information if anybody has any questions, any comments. I'm doing some free coaching sessions, some strategy sessions with people. I want to be able to help people. Just reach out, send me an email, give me a phone call. I'd love to reach out, or love to help you if I can in any way possible. So, Sharon, I'm going to stop unsharing this, and we'll go back to full screen, and I'm going to give it back to you, Sharon.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the presentation. We're going to allow a little bit of time for some questions. If anybody has questions or comments about Steve's presentation, just feel free to unmute yourself, give me a wave or whatever, and we'll certainly let you join in on this conversation. Well, why don't I start it out? Because I have a couple of things. So one of the things that I find really interesting is what motivates people to do what they're doing. So Steve, what prompted you to start coaching?
Well, it goes way back to my college days. I just loved helping people. I've always been for the underdog, and I've gotten myself into some awkward positions because I was taking up for employees that I had working for me. I was managing different businesses, and the bosses didn't like the fact that I was taking up for them and really going to bat and fighting for them. And I found myself looking for new opportunities because they didn't like me confronting them. So I've always been for the underdog. When I started doing things with the DISC program, that kind of morphed into more life coaching, because for some reason it must have been that I was wearing something around my neck that says I'm a coach and I can help you, and I like the puppy dog that's soaking wet in the rain. I want to bring you in and dry you off and help you with that sort of thing, give you a bowl of whatever. Years ago, but when I was living in Houston, I had a bag of trash that I hadn't taken to the garbage can yet. It was sitting in my garage. And I had the garage door open one day, and I was working in the garage, and a stray cat came walking up and started digging at the bag of trash. And this cat was all skin and bones. Well, I made the mistake of opening up a can of tuna fish, and I now had a cat. So I like looking out for the underdog, whether it's an animal like that or whether it's individuals that are hurting. I'm doing a lot of coaching these days with couples that are dealing with some tough things, but also those people that have been dealing with just life challenges, and maybe they had something that happened to them 10, 20, 30 years ago, and they don't know how to get past that. So I help them get through those sorts of things. I love helping people.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So I have another question. So what do you see in the people that you're coaching or that you're meeting on like on a Monday of every week, and their level of concern about what's happening today?
Oh, great question. It's really kind of a mixed bag. There are some people that they are absolutely terrified, and they just don't know. They're afraid of going out. You know, I'm not going to say my friends from church in their mid 70s. Both of them have some health challenges. While they're not terrified, they're being very cautious and concerned about what's going on. But you've got those people that they really are, they're paralyzed. In fact, you know, when all of this stuff started taking place, I started thinking about the different groups of people. You've got those that they're paralyzed. You've got some others that they're the laissez-faire group. They just don't care. They're going to go on with life, and they've enjoyed this time off because they got caught up in all of their Netflix favorites or whatever it was. But then you've got the other people, and it's probably about 30% of the people that are saying, you know what, I don't care what's in front of us. We're going to move forward, and we have to move forward. So I like helping the third group. Sometimes I can't help the ones that are paralyzed. And the second group, they don't care. So I want to go with the people that I know I can help.
Thanks for sharing that. Interesting.
Sure.
Anyone else? Comments? Questions? Paul, are you talking?
I have a question for you.
Oh,
There's
Sure.
there's a huge distinction between therapy, mentoring, and coaching. Or do you find during these times like the pandemic that coaching becomes more therapy, and how do you handle something like that?
I am not a good question. Thanks, Buzz. I am not a licensed therapist. I am not a counselor per se, but I do a lot of coaching that turns into counseling. And the counseling is more of an encouragement than anything else. Oftentimes, what I've discovered is that the coaching side of things, I like to pose opportunities for people to think about. The therapists or counselors almost always just look at the past. I look at the past and I want them to help. I want to help uncover the past. And I'm kind of like an onion peeler. I peel all those different layers of things away until we can find out what the core is of that particular issue. And once we find out what the core is, then from there, we start looking at the possibilities. Is that a real thing for you to be concerned with? Or let's replace your mindset and let's start thinking about positive things, how you can adapt to. And so I'm kind of a business coach, kind of a mindset coach, kind of a therapist. But I'm really doing a lot of therapy these days and counseling as opposed to just doing the coaching side of things. Good question.
I have a question.
Teresa, you had your hand up.
Okay.
Teresa?
Yes, I'm sorry. My question was, how do you help those people in the second or the first group who are in their own way? How do you get them to move towards being in that third group where they're ready to do those things that you're asking them to do?
This may sound a little bit crazy, but the very first thing I have to do is I have to help them understand what their why is. If you don't have a why, your fear is going to be your why. So I have to help them understand that, again, I mean, I started out looking at all of the crises that we had 10, 20, 30 years ago. Okay, we got through all of those things. We're going to get through this as well. From a biblical perspective, I freely share with people the story about Moses and the Red Sea. I mean, he got to the Red Sea and there's a Red Sea in front of him. He's got mountains on either side, and the Egyptian army was coming up behind him. Guess what? God parted the water so they could go through on dry land. The same thing is happening right now. I'm seeing people that recognize, okay, maybe God's not parting the waters, but there are new opportunities that are opening up for us. So you have to get away from the fear and look at the possibilities, look at the opportunities. So maybe for those people that are paralyzed in the fear, maybe we have to spend a lot of time looking at the realization of what that fear is, what the root is. Is it a fear because of the virus and because of being sequestered? Or was there another fear that 20 years ago, they were abandoned or they were a victim, or they were abused in some way. And this is a flashback to something that happened 20 years ago. I'm dealing with a client right now that, as we're talking, she had some things that she brought up when she was 3 years old, and her parents essentially abandoned her for her younger sister. So we're uncovering those kinds of things. So I'm showing her that not that the fear is irrational, but let's get past the fear and replace it instead with possibilities. Back to the engine that could. I think I can. I think I can. Take those small steps. Replace the bottle of Coke with water. Little steps. And Mr. Ziegler, when he wrote his first book, he told the story about learning to remake himself physically. And he had gone to the doctor and realized that he was 40 pounds overweight. And the doctor says, you got to start exercising. So what did he do? The first day, he ran a block. He stopped, he turned around and walked back home. Second day, a block in a mailbox. Stopped, turned around and walked back home. Third day, block in 2 mailboxes. Stopped, turned around and walked back home. He called that the BAM method, B-A-A-M, block and a mailbox. So don't go out and create a whole new wheel. Make little changes. And when you've accomplished that first change, commend yourself, pat yourself on the back, affirm yourself in those little things. As far as the middle group, they gotta have a why, something bigger than Netflix, something bigger than Facebook, something bigger than whatever. And some of those people, they can't be changed because they don't want to change, because they've made the choice, well, I've decided I'm gonna change, but they never took action. They're the frogs sitting on that lily pad. They haven't taken action. Until they take action, not a whole lot anybody can do for them. I hope that helps.
It does, thank you.
Good. Paul, I think you had a question or comment?
Me? Well, it's,
No, Shameen, one second. Paul had tried to ask us a question earlier.
You're on mute.
Oh, I can't hear you.
He's not muted. I think he's got a problem with his, let's give him just a sec and then we'll get to you, Shameen.
No, yeah, no.
Okay. If you want, go into the text box in the chat box and write your question down.
Yeah.
So what else?
All right, we'll let Shameen ask hers while Paul's doing that.
Okay,
So
Shameen.
hi, Steve. It's along the same line as Teresa was saying. I see it in my industry, right? Where I'm in the financial services industry. It's like, well, we've always done it this way. Why should I change? And then, so during this pandemic, I actually got certified as a financial coach. And in it, and I was helping, my family members in New York, a lot of whom got affected by COVID and actually lost 2 family members, my first cousins. And the wives, again, what I have always done it this way, I don't know how to change it. How do you go about changing that mindset as a life coach per se? Because it's so difficult, right? I mean, you have to find the why, the underlying cause. So.
It's pretty much the same thing with everything, whether it's a physical change you have to make, a mental change, whatever the case is, you have to change in little steps. Now, some people, I've worked with a lot of financial planners over the years, and some of them, when 2008 hit and we had that massive crash, people were bailing out immediately, which some of the people should have gotten out before, and they knew before, and they should have adjusted. But in a situation like this is an opportunity in many ways for people to grow, because a lot of things are on sale right now. There are a lot of stocks and mutual funds and in other financial vehicles that are on sale because the prices are reduced. Well, can we divert some money into an area that is going to be affordable to you today? But whatever you do, don't stop, don't bail, because it's going to come back. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not giving financial advice, but the main thing is take those small steps and just tell people, go back in history and look at history and how that pendulum always swings back. It may take a few years, but I'm hearing some really good things. yeah, the market's kind of going like this right now, but I'm hearing some really good positive things that with the doors being open all around the country, all around the world, there are new opportunities that are presenting themselves. Maybe, and I wish, oh man, I wish that I bought stock in Zoom back in January. No offense, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be on the beach.
It's not even financial advising, it's just basic budgeting. It's just basic.
Oh, sure.
What are your
Sure.
expenses? I mean, I think this pandemic has, quote unquote, helped see that.
Yes,
you
understand.
know, financial, I mean, that's the next step, right? You have excess wealth and so you invest. But I'm just
Yes.
seeing that more and more as I'm talking to the community, talking to people, that we don't know. We don't sit and think about how much money do we really spend. So it's just, well, I have always done it this way. So.
Well, you know, what I do and what I've done for 20 years, I use a debit card for almost everything. And I use it primarily to track my behaviors. I want to know where my money is going. I don't carry a lot of cash because I don't want to know, I don't want to have to think about where the money is going. I can look at the report on a regular basis and say, oh my gosh, I spent money there. Oh, I spent way too much money there. And I can adjust my behaviors based on that. But then the other idea is, and I've heard people talk for years about the envelope method. And you put your money in envelopes. Okay, here's your dry cleaning envelope. Here's your gasoline envelope. Here's your grocery. Here's your meals out envelope. And when that money's gone from that envelope, it's gone. And you don't want to steal from one of the other envelopes. That's part of the budgeting process. That's another different conversation. There are a ton of resources like the Dave Ramsey's of the world that can help on the budgeting side of things and help people put things together. But the main thing is don't be fearful. We're going to get through this. So who else? Yes, Christine. Cruise line stocks are super cheap. Yeah, airline stocks are getting down there too. So maybe this is the time to do that sort of thing. So great book. What you got here won't get you. Oh, that is very good. I like that. I'm going to look that up, Buzz. Thank you. Anybody else?
No?
Y'all are being way too quiet.
Yeah, they're a quiet bunch. Well, Paul wanted to specifically tell you that he specifically liked the wheel balance illustration and making small changes with habits. And I took pictures of some of these things myself just so I can use them as reminders. And I'm pretty sure that you would be willing to share your PowerPoint just, you know, as a reminder with those who are on the chat. If that's what you'd like to do, we would certainly, if you want to send it to me, I will share it with everyone that was on the in the meeting.
The only thing the only thing I'm going to ask, it is some of it's copyrighted material, so let's keep it to yourself. So it's a great reminder for everybody. If you've got more questions or you need some additional information, I'm happy to spend some time. One of the things that I do is, and I've done this for many years, is helping people not just for today and get rid of some of the things from their past, but I want to help people prepare for May of 2021. We're going to get through this. So let's get ready for May of 2021. And the vast majority of that is a mindset thing. And it's being prepared mentally for where you're going, where you want to go in life. And don't get stuck. Don't stay where we are. There are too many new opportunities for us to move forward.
Christine, you asked about sharing the recording. Happy to share the recording from the meeting. In fact, we're like I said, we're recording it. We will convert it to a YouTube video, and we will share that.
Well, it's on Facebook right now as well.
Yeah, it is live on Facebook right now. So if no one else has any other comments, then we will thank Steve for his time and thank all of you for participating this morning, and let you get on with your day on a very positive note. So I know that I'm feeling really good about today, Steve. So thanks for sharing.
That's the intent. Again, just as I said, or you said in my introduction, I want everyone to have more value after we've gotten to know each other. And that's one of the keys that I do. So I'd love to share some of the networking opportunities, not just here in the Allen Fairview area, but my fingers are going out literally across the country with networking opportunities. So if you're looking for some of those things as well, I can definitely get you connected with other people in other groups.
Great.
So-
Thank you again. And everybody have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming.